going on, Jerome's? So Yellowstone is back. That's why the wife got me all these new flannel shirts, because she wants to live action role play things. I don't know. But it's weird. She did say that her favorite character on Yellowstone is Jamie, just because, Wes Bentley was in the Hunger Games. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, at least give me Rip or Casey, or hell, even Jimmy. I'm funny. Anyways, it's a beautiful Friday. Birds are chirping and stuff. It's time for another Vikings news dump. I like this shirt. I like the feel. I think it's 100% cotton. It feels nice on my nips. Anyways, but it is Friday, and Kevin O'Connell, we talked about Kevin O'Connell is very good at post-game speeches, win or lose, but especially wins. Yeah, very, 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 very good. And you love to see that. And, I almost feel like Kevin O'Connell's talents are wasted as a football coach. Right now, football is obviously important for us as well as the fans. And Kevin O'Connell, once he delivers a dozen Jerome Bardys in the next 10 years, he can go on to his next adventure, CEO of a Fortune 50 company, or I don't know. I hate to say it because of the recent elections, but I feel like he would be a hell of a congressman. I mean, he's tall, he's handsome, very articulate, well-spoken, but also every time O'Connell Americans deserved to be Americans, or something like that. I don't know. But this is my favorite thing from Parks and Rec. Underrated show, by the way. Next, also underrated is the Vikings creative department. So they put out on the social medias, this week we chose an amazing and clever transformation idea by Vikings fans. This could have gone off the rails in a lot of different ways. But it was a picture of TJ Hockenson. And TJ Hockenson, he's dreaming of a sparkling Tiffany's Jerome Bar. Do you know Super Bowl trophy is made by Tiffany's? I said, what about breakfast set? But so there's a lot of things going on here. Number one, so yeah, all the Vikings are like big health and wellness guys. Also, where's your sleep number bed? Hi, I'm Dak Prescott, and when I'm being mid, I need all my rest so I can be mid. So that's why I use Sleep Number. Yeah. But I was told that phones next to the bed are bad. I don't know. Also, hey, you see the ticker tape falling down. Well, I was going to say that's a New Orleans thing, except that's every Super Bowl, so I'm dumb. Also, this looks like a twin-size bed. I don't think that, or no, not a twin, but a full. Yeah, the smallest of like the two people beds. I don't think Hockenson does that, because he's married, right? Doesn't matter. But also Hockenson is sleeping in full gear. That's how much he loves the game. Dedicated. Not only in his jersey, but pads, gloves, I'm sure his ankles are spats, as well as the helmet on, game face. Also, what are the socks for at the edge of the bed? TJ, like Thomas James, what are the socks for? Doesn't matter. But hey, I want all my players dreaming of a Super Bowl, and also if they sleep in full pads, that's how you know football guys. That's right. Also, football guys, we went over the injury report last night, but overall, good news for the Vikings. A lot of limited players return to full. Of course, Friday is going to be the main day. Jones, there's some slight concern, but Kevin O'Connell is pretty optimistic about that. He'll be able to go with no restrictions on Sunday, but get some carries for Cam Akers for the love of everything that's holy. And for the Titans, the main one is L'Jarius Sneed, probably going to miss his fifth game in a row, and that certainly would soften up the Titans secondary for Justin friggin' Jefferson. Speaking of secondary, for the Vikings secondary, it is a homecoming game of sorts for Harrison Smith, the pride of Knoxville, Tennessee, or just a hop, skip, and a jump over to Nashville, so I'm sure we'll have lots of friends and family at, what's their stadium name? Is it still Nissan? It's not Nissan anymore. What used to be Nissan Stadium, and what could be his final season. Right? And also, a lot of people were up in arms like, how come Harrison Smith didn't go to Tennessee or Alabama? His high school literally was called Catholic. He's going to Notre Dame, man. No. But I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe Harrison Smith has been lost in the wash a little bit. Like, he's still having a damn good season, especially given his age. But, the splashy plays, all that. But he's doing the dirty work, the things that don't show up in the stat box. But I don't know. Like, I feel like Flores knows what's up. And I feel like he's going to be dialing up a couple things for Deuce. I feel like there could be a couple of sacks, maybe like his 3-sack game against Carolina last year. I think he could do it. I think I would bank on Harrison Smith having a monster game on Sunday. It's from his hometown faithful. Go from there. Also in the Vikings secondary, Byron Murphy Jr. So I know that he's been up and down at times, but Murph has played some really good ball the last couple games. 3 straight games with interception, tying a team record. Actually, no, the team record's 5, but close enough. Also, PFF Vikes. Byron Murphy Jr. among quarterbacks over the last 3 weeks, 86.3 PFF grade, 3rd in the league, which is good. 2 first downs allowed in 91 coverage snaps, 3 picks, tied for first. Well, not even tied, first. 1 forced incompletion, and 45.8 passer rating allowed, which you get 39.6 for throwing it straight into the dirt. So Murph has been pretty damn good. And one of the reasons why. So this is a little bit of controversy. So Murph and Beasley and Metellus were BSing over on the sidelines. And Murph was talking about how he had Sprite in his water bottle and how Sprite gives him magical powers and all that stuff. And then, Beasley and Metellus were talking junk. Beasley saying, like, I haven't had a Sprite since grade school. Whatever, man. But obey your thirst, Sprite. And what's interesting is that the Vikings official page ran this, right? It was up on the YouTubes as a clip, and the caption they put on the old Twitter was, "Nah, soda on the sideline is crazy." But then they deleted the video, and there's a couple of thoughts why. Number one, I'm sure it's against the league sponsors if Murphy really did have a Sprite on the sidelines, which I actually doubt that he did. But it would be so funny, like how that league email to the Vikings, like, we need you to delete that video because it is evidence of us being in breach of contract with our beverage sponsors on the sideline. Yeah, or what's more likely. So I think that the people of the great state of Minnesota rebelled because we don't call it soda, we call it pop, P-O-P. Right? We're one of the few bastions left in this great country that still call it pop because places call it soda. Other places just call all carbonated beverages Coke, like the soft down south, but nah. So it's just funny to me. But hell, if Murph can't parlay this, say Murph gets a couple more interceptions, maybe ends the year with 10, like is his goal. If he can't parlay that into a Sprite deal, come on, Sprite, get at my guy. There you go. Also, it's funny. So Alec Lewis, the Athletic, was thinking broadly about this with the Vikings this morning. I know that Alec Lewis he's very good at his craft. He's very dedicated, but his thoughts in the morning, I feel like, should concern with more things about life as opposed to just this jabroni football team. Anyways, I don't know, like finding a wonderful woman to spend the rest of your life with, or making a really good art. So So there's a egg bake recipe that stumbled across, but instead of just using dried bread or old bread baguettes, whatever, using dried out croissants. So you got croissants, you got ham, which should be seared off, so you get that extra layer of flavor in there. You get bacon, sausage, whatever in there. You put some cheese. I'm partial to Gruyere cheese, and then also, of course, your eggs. Also, white pepper. I think that might be an Asian thing, but white pepper. Anyways, but that's what you should be thinking about instead of the Vikings. But entered the season with lowered expectations externally and really have been squarely in the fight every single week, including versus the good teams, while taking on $65 million to dead cap. It's been pretty astounding in the macro. And that's been sort of slept on, where KOC assembled this team, and there's been a lot of trying times this offseason, but this basically was a step back season to reload for the future, right? And taking those dead cap hits of Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, Marcus Davenport from the void years coming home to roost, like those are kind of a big deal. But the fact that the Vikings have built this great defense, mainly through free agency. And they extended Jefferson, Darrisaw, Hockenson still on his long-term deal, and they've unearthed a couple of superstars, especially on the defensive side. I mean, you're sitting pretty good. And you traded up for your quarterback of the future and your talisman on the edge of the future and Dallas Turner. So you're feeling pretty good, especially when you got all that cap space next year too. So you're going to be good to go. Also good to go with Justin friggin' Jefferson. Vikes communication at Tennessee. Justin Jefferson, 67-30 receiving yards needs. 14 receiving yards to pass Brandon Mouse for the most receiving yards by a player in his first 5 seasons of Vikings history. Again, all these records are great, but I feel like the parameters are very odd. 55 receiving yards past Torrey Holt for the most receiving yards by a player in the first 5 seasons in NFL history, which is great. A couple factors here. Number one, Jefferson's mainly played in the 17-game season era. Torrey Holt played in the 16. But also, I mean, Jefferson missed a large chunk of 2023. So I feel like these numbers are even more enhanced. And also, I was told that Kirk Cousins was bad. And Jefferson put up a lot of these numbers with Kurt, as well as with Nick Mullins, as well as with the Passionate, etc. So there you go. Also, Jefferson talking about how the Jaguars shifted their tendencies in coverage, playing a lot of split safety cover 2, which, taking away the big play. That's what they tried to do, but it didn't work. Vikes fan page, well, it did work. Justin Jefferson, how the Jaguars played against the Vikings on Sunday. Seeing that they played man majority of the season, once we came in, now they switch up their whole entire defense. When we step foot on that field, the whole defense changed, and that's the Justin Jefferson effect. Also, you saw that Monday night, too, the Dolphins versus the Rams. The Rams played an inordinate amount of split safety cover 2 against Tyreek Hill, and they took away the big play. And I don't want to say that this is the blueprint, but what's interesting, so Jacksonville's not on this graphic. They were down at the bottom, but their cover 2 zone percentage had been very low, and that now it jacked up to 29% because they played basically the whole game in that shell. But the Vikings, just for reference, so the Vikings play cover 2 about 30% of the time, 26% zone, 4% man, and mainly they mix up coverage. It's a swatch between cover 2 zone, cover 3 zone, cover 4 zone quarters. So that's what Flores does, and it's kind of good that these numbers are pretty equal across the board in that offenses don't really know what's coming, and it's really tough to peg down a tendency. Now, of course, you can just play straight up a lot of cover 3. That's what the Legion of Boom did back in the day. You look at the Steelers at 44%. The Bears defense is actually pretty solid at 38%. So, you can do that, but you have to execute. You can run the simplest game plan, but your players got to make plays. That's what it comes down to. Tennessee. So what's interesting is that they play a lot of cover 3, cover 4, 32% and 25% zone respectively, and they only play cover 2 about 7% of the time. Now, quarters is different than split man, split safeties on the back end, but basically, I mean, they're probably going to have 2 safeties back there most of the time. They're going to look at what Jacksonville did and just try and take away the big play, which I respect, but the way to beat it, I mean, you got 2 safeties out there. That means 1 less man in the box. You could run the ball. Everything is open underneath, and Darnold just has to be happy to take what's there. And if you just force it, you're playing right into their hands. So hopefully that's what the Vikings will do until the Titans just come out of it. Next, so the Vikings always need corners, right? And I know that things didn't work out with Cameron Tiny Dancer. Hold me closer, Tiny Dancer. A 3rd-round pick in 2020 on Mississippi State. Now, after he parted ways with the Vikings, he bounced around 7 teams in 2 months. So it's usually a bad sign. But Dancer, I'm just ready to play ball again. He's only 26, right? Nah, can't do it. But I don't know. I always feel there's an attachment to former players. Just come on home, baby. I don't know. Speaking of coming home, so I firmly believe that a team will execute the Deion and Shedeur Sanders package deal. Right, Shedeur coming in the draft, going to be highly drafted, maybe even the first quarterback taken, and then Deion. So I know that Deion is very polarizing. You either love him or hate him. Now I love Deion Sanders, but I fully understand how the swagger and bravado could be poo-pooed on by some people who don't believe in them. And you know what's weird? Quietly, Colorado's had a very, very good season. Like they've beaten some good teams. They've won some tough games. They're bowl eligible, and they've done a great job. You know, props to Dion and Shedeur in this spot. But Schefter on if Dion and Shedeur are going to go to the same NFL team, this is one of those options that's going to heat up, that's going to be in play this offseason. Now, the NFL is an entertainment business. All right, so when teams get in trouble, they forget that they think that they're a football team, but no, they're in the entertainment business. And say what you will, Dion will move the needle. You look at what sleepy Colorado did, who hadn't been relevant since the mid-'90s. All of a sudden, like, they're a national spotlight story every single week, right? And that's what Dion does. And Shedeur, first off, Shedeur has a terrible offensive line, so maybe he'll be good with the Giants. I don't know, but Shedeur is solid, and I like the comps that our guy Jordan Reed put out there, Geno Smith. I think that's pretty apt because, I mean, he's got a quick release. He's got a live arm. He's got some mobility, but he's not a running quarterback by any means. And like he's a solid leader of men, and just go from there. I think that Shedeur Sanders is not ready to say he's going to be a star, but can he be a competent top half of the league starter? Yes. That's rare to come by. Now, will Dion go with him? Now, my take is that Dallas would be perfect for the two. But, of course, they just extended Dak. But would they trade Dak? I mean, it's possible. Or, you know what? The Raiders. The Raiders would be so perfect, man. So, Shedeur, Brock Bowers, let's go. You know, Dion in Sin City, which is weird because he lives a very clean lifestyle. But the Raiders need to put butts in the seats, and it's embarrassing how they never have a home field advantage. But just in terms of the swagger, the swashbuckling, as well as the, you know, just the rebel culture with the Raiders, I think that fits Dion and Shedeur to a T. I think that would be perfect. I think Mark Davis would be hailed an absolute genius if that happened. Antonio Pierce, sorry, might be a one-and-done spot, but Dion, Shedeur, Raiders, let's go. Let's go, man. Anyways, obey your thirst, Sprite. Sprite's super underrated. Like I'm of a certain age where I remember Sprite Remix. That's good stuff, man. Anyways, that's it. Vikings news up on this beautiful Friday. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skol, production value.